The overunity systems that you have seen so far do not break the laws of physics. However, they are creating the illusion of overunity because they are harvesting feedback energy. So I'll use one form of logic that I've ran into so far with AI that is probably going to break your mind. I'm going to explain two systems that are going to be using this concept in this video before I build the systems, because I want everybody to get a thorough understanding, including the physicists out there that may not have tried building designs like this quite yet. You see this generator right here is an air core generator, 12 air core coils. The problem is that I have all of the coils connected together in series, which is increasing the internal resistance. That internal resistance is a huge killer on the power delivery of this system altogether. Now I figured out a way to hack that problem using math and basic physics to counteract that problem. By connecting all of the coils together in parallel, it is decreasing that 215 to 218 ohm value per coil down to about 15 to 18 ohms total when you have all the coils connected together in parallel. Once they are connected together in parallel, you're delivering much more current at the same given voltage input. This is what really maximizes the logic of a single-phase generator versus a polyphase generator, which could be built using a similar principle. I had a huge discussion with ChatGPT about overunity systems and how it could be possible to create systems that doesn't create an overunity output, but in terms with this logic, it is using recycled feedback loop generated energy. The idea that you can't get more energy out of a system is very much true. However, what happens when you time a system or leverage a system to harvest energy instead? So these are the two methods that I'm going to be trying in the upcoming videos. And yes, these are going in coherence with Project Ether Cell, because with this new generator design, worst case scenario, you can still pull the free energy from the higher atmosphere and run one of these generators very efficiently without it falling victim to the hysteresis effect or eddy currents and other ridiculous resistive problems that cause issues with these generators. A wind-powered car that runs on its own thrust. No excess wind required, just the wind that is proportionally being created with its own thrust, which is in the form of drag, which would be measured in velocity squared. Now say the car itself is predominantly the Archimedes turbine. This is where it gets interesting with the math. The velocity cubed is the measurement of the wind hitting the car, which is the total drag force hitting the car, slowing it down before it comes to a complete stop. But with this turbine being the majority of the value of the car, you can proportionally invert this drag force into thrust. And the Vertasium channel used this principle very well for the Blackbird, but that requires an external force of wind to get. So this is something very unique my AI told me versus what your AI might not tell you. You see, as the car accelerates into the wind, that wind hitting the car becomes the external force that starts powering the car. The car itself has its own internal force that starts scooping the wind as it propels into distance. But what's really unique is you can harvest this energy being scooped into the Archimedes turbine using a pulley ratio on the front axle, which means I could have a generator with less resistive value and I could send that energy back into my DC motors, which require very little power input to get the torque value to get the car to accelerate into the wind, causing it to harvest the wind in the quantity that will allow the car to self-propel into the wind. Based off my calculations with AI using this specific generator design, I can reach overunity mimicking outputs at 15 miles per hour, which means it's harvesting a feedback loop of wind into the system that starts creating an overunity effect. But it's actually harvested surrounding energy that's being proportionally created simultaneously as the car tries to move in the wind. And the math that is backing this up states that the weight of the wind creates a velocity cubed onto the car itself, which is then creating a drag force against the car. But that drag force then inverts and cancels out the velocity cubed of resistance hitting the car and drops it down to velocity squared. So after the car reaches a certain speed, the car then accumulates enough wind velocity to self-propel itself into the wind, essentially inverting the resistance into leverage by harvesting wind energy. That wind is proportional, and it's being created by the surrounding environment realistically, without all the molecules in the air, and you get what I'm saying. There wouldn't be any wind. The car could just freestand, and the turbine would never spin at all. The same logic could go with a motor generator over a unity loop mimicking idea, which means you're creating a feedback loop, and instead of using wind, you are using resonance. Resonance in a lot of these designs, you will realize, is the key to making them work. A lot of physicists and upcoming inventors might not realize is that the internal resistance of the generator must be lower than the internal resistance of the motor. So you have to make sure that your generator has all the windings with a resistive value lower than the DC motor that you're using on the system. And that is actually very possible to do by making sure that they're all connected in parallel. So the dodecatron that was once 0.001% efficient is now 144 times more efficient because of the windings of this upcoming design that I am going to be promoting in my next video. By connecting all of the windings in parallel, I will be getting a much greater current output at the same voltage output I was getting per single coil. I'm thinking I can get the voltage to stack, but from my conversations with AI, it only seems that the voltage can stack per coil and remain parallel with current. So having more turns and having each coil wound in parallel stacks the current, and you can send that energy into whatever low voltage, high current supplied systems you want. That's what makes this generator super effective and potentially capable of creating an overunity loop. So I hope you guys stuck around for this entire video, and get ready for the next video on my attempt with the wind-powered car. This is all going in coherence with Project Ether Cell, because when in doubt, this generator is now efficient enough to be ran by an electrostatic motor. So, another score. Thank you for watching. Peace.